The metal chair made a soft scraping sound as Zekthara shifted his weight. His four eyes moved around the white room, never staying still for more than a few seconds. The alien's dark blue skin looked almost purple under the bright lights. Scars covered his arms and chest, old wounds that told stories of many battles. Dr. Alex Thompson sat across from him at a simple metal table. The human looked young compared to the alien warrior. Alex wore a clean white coat and held a small recording device. His hands were steady, but his eyes showed he was nervous. This was his first time talking to a real alien soldier. "Please state your name and rank for the record," Alex said. His voice was calm and professional. Zekthara's mandibles clicked together twice before he spoke. "I am Zekthara, former battle commander of the 3rd Assault Division, Kethmori Imperial Guard." His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. Alex nodded and made a note on his tablet. "The war between our species ended 6 months ago. We're here to understand what happened during those conflicts. Can you tell me about your first encounter with human forces?" The alien's four eyes all focused on Alex at once. It was unsettling. Zekthara was quiet for a long moment. His clawed fingers tapped on the table in a rhythm that sounded almost like a heartbeat. "You want to know about humans in battle?" Zekthara asked. "You want to know why your species terrifies every warrior in the Kethmori Empire?" Alex blinked in surprise. "Terrifies? I thought we were studying combat effectiveness and tactics." A sound came from Zekthara's throat that might have been laughter, but it sounded more like growling. "Dr. Thompson, your people are not just effective. You are nightmares made real. You are deathworlders who should not exist." "I don't understand," Alex said. He leaned forward slightly. "Please explain." Zekthara stood up and walked to the small window. Outside, the stars were bright against the black of space. The prisoner exchange station floated quietly between human and Kethmori territory. "Before the war, our intelligence officers studied your species," Zekthara said. "We watched your entertainment broadcasts. We saw your movies and television shows, soft creatures who cried over small problems, beings who seemed weak and emotional." Alex remained quiet, waiting for the alien to continue. "We thought you would surrender after the first real battle. Our commanders expected easy victory. They sent me and my division to take the mining colony on Kepler 442b, 300 of our best warriors against a small human outpost." Zekthara turned back to face Alex. His scarred face showed something that looked like old pain. "There were only 12 human soldiers defending that colony, 12 against 300. Our attack should have lasted 1 hour at most." "What happened?" Alex asked. "We fought for 18 hours, Zekthara said. 18 hours against 12 humans who would not die, would not retreat, would not surrender. Every time we thought we had killed them all, more gunfire would come from somewhere else." The alien sat back down heavily. His forearms rested on the table, and Alex could see that his hands were shaking slightly. "I watched human soldiers continue fighting with terrible wounds. Wounds that would have killed any Kethmori warrior instantly. One of your Marines had lost most of his left arm, but he kept shooting with his right hand. Another had taken 3 plasma shots to the chest and was still throwing explosive devices." Alex wrote notes quickly. This was not what he had expected to hear. "The worst part was their eyes," Zekthara continued. "Kethmori eyes show fear before death. Human eyes showed something else. They showed determination. They showed anger. Even dying humans looked at us like we were prey animals." "Did you eventually take the colony?" Alex asked. "Yes, but at terrible cost. Of my 300 warriors, only 47 survived. The humans all died, but they took so many of us with them that it felt like defeat. We had to call for medical ships and reinforcements." Zekthara's mandibles clicked nervously again. "After that battle, I sent a report to High Command. I told them that humans were not soft creatures. I said they were predators hiding in the skin of prey animals. My superiors thought I was suffering from battle shock." Alex looked up from his notes. "What made you think we were predators?" "The way you fought," Zekthara said immediately. "Kethmori warriors fight to win territory or resources. We retreat when victory becomes impossible. But humans fight like they enjoy the battle itself. You take unnecessary risks. You make emotional decisions that should get you killed, but somehow they work." The alien stood up again and began pacing around the small room. His movements were quick and nervous, like a caged animal. "After Kepler 442b, I studied everything I could find about human warfare. I learned about your history. The wars you fought against each other before you reached space. The terrible weapons you created. The way you never truly surrendered, even when completely defeated. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. He had never thought about human history from an alien perspective. What disturbed me most was learning about your evolution, Zekthara said. Most intelligent species in the galaxy evolved on peaceful worlds, garden planets with stable weather and few dangerous animals. But Earth is different. Earth is what we call a death world. A death world? Alex asked. A planet so dangerous that only the strongest and most adaptable life forms survive. Your ancestors were hunted by creatures much larger and stronger than themselves, so they learned to hunt in groups. They learned to use tools and weapons. They learned to never give up because giving up meant death. Zekthara stopped pacing and looked directly at Alex with all four eyes. Dr. Thompson, every human soldier carries millions of years of survival instinct. You are descended from creatures that survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and predators that could kill you in seconds. That is why 12 humans could hold off 300 Kethmori warriors. Alex set down his pen. His hand was cramping from writing so quickly. The intelligence reports after Kepler 442b changed everything, Zekthara said. High Command finally understood what they were fighting. Not soft mammals, but apex predators from a world that tried to kill everything living on it. The room was quiet for several minutes. Alex looked at his notes, trying to process what he had heard. Is there more? Alex asked finally. Zekthara's scarred face showed what might have been a smile, but on his alien features it looked more like a threat display. Dr. Thompson, he said, that was just the first battle. I have many more stories to tell you. Stories that will help you understand why the Kethmori Empire surrendered to a species we outnumbered 50-1. Alex activated his recording device again. He had the feeling this was going to be a very long conversation. Alex Thompson poured himself a cup of coffee and offered one to Zekthara. The alien looked at the dark liquid with curiosity, but shook his head. His four eyes watched the steam rise from Alex's cup. You consume heated plant extract for stimulation, Zekthara observed. Another sign of your deathworld origins. Alex paused with the cup halfway to his lips. How so? Most civilized species consume carefully prepared nutrients. Humans drink bitter liquids that would be considered poison on many worlds. You actually enjoy substances that cause pain to your taste sensors. Alex had never thought about coffee that way. He took a sip and set the cup down. You wanted to hear more stories, Zekthara said. Let me tell you about the siege of Proxima Station. This battle taught us something new about human physiology. The alien settled back in his chair, his scarred hands folded together on the table. Proxima Station was a vital supply depot for our fleet. We surrounded it with 40 warships and demanded surrender. The human commander refused. He said his orders were to hold the station at all costs. Alex opened his notebook to a fresh page. The siege lasted 3 weeks. We bombarded the station continuously, destroying sections one by one. The humans kept fighting from whatever parts were still intact. Then our sensors detected something impossible. What did you detect? Alex asked. Human soldiers fighting in vacuum, Zekthara said. Their environmental suits had been breached by weapons fire. They should have died instantly. Instead, they kept fighting for several more minutes. Alex frowned. That's not possible. Humans can't survive in space without life support. Exactly what our scientists said, Zekthara replied. But we watched it happen multiple times. Humans with damaged suits continued combat operations long enough to complete their missions before dying. The alien's mandibles clicked as he remembered. Later, our medical team studied the human bodies we recovered. They discovered that humans can survive in vacuum for approximately 90 seconds if they exhale first and don't panic. Your species evolved this ability from diving underwater on your death world. Alex made notes quickly. He had never heard of humans surviving that long in space. But surviving was not the most disturbing part, Zekthara continued. The disturbing part was that humans used those 90 seconds to continue fighting. They would take careful aim and fire weapons while dying. They would throw grenades with their last breaths. Some even used the vacuum to their advantage, moving in ways that gravity-bound troops could not predict. The alien stood up and walked to the window again. His reflection looked ghostly in the reinforced glass. That was when our scientists developed the deathworld theory. They studied Earth's history and compared it to other worlds that produced intelligent life. Alex leaned forward. What did they find? Your planet tried to kill you for millions of years, Zekthara said. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years. volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun, asteroid impacts that destroyed entire continents, predators that could smell you from great distances and run faster than you could ever hope to move. The alien turned back to face Alex. Most species evolved on stable worlds with predictable weather and abundant food. We never had to develop extreme survival abilities, but humans had to adapt or die. You learned to survive in conditions that would kill most galactic life forms. Alex thought about Earth's history. Humans had indeed survived multiple near-extinction events. This explains why human soldiers are so difficult to kill, Zekathara said. Your bodies are designed to keep functioning even when severely damaged. Your brains produce chemicals that reduce pain and increase strength when you are injured. What you call adrenaline is essentially a combat drug that your own bodies manufacture. You're talking about our fight or flight response, Alex said. Yes, but there is more. Humans don't just choose fight or flight. You choose fight and then keep fighting until either you win or you die. Most species have a third option: surrender when defeat is certain. Humans seem to lack this option. Zekathara began pacing again. His movements were more agitated now. Let me tell you about Captain Lisa Wong and the Battle of the Asteroid Field. This encounter taught us about human reflexes and spatial awareness. Alex prepared to take more notes. Wong was piloting a single fighter craft through the Titan asteroid belt. She was being pursued by 12 of our best pilots in superior ships. The asteroids were moving unpredictably due to the gravitational fields of 3 nearby moons. The alien's 4 eyes all focused on a point above Alex's head, as if he was seeing the battle again. Our pilots had to slow down and use careful navigation to avoid collision with the asteroids. Wong flew at maximum speed, making turns and maneuvers that should have been impossible. She used the moving asteroids like tools, causing them to collide with our ships. Alex looked up from his notes. How is that possible? Human brains evolved to track multiple moving objects simultaneously. On your deathworld, you had to watch for many predators at once while also finding food and avoiding natural hazards. This gave you 3-dimensional spatial awareness that most species lack. Zekathara sat down again. His scarred face showed what might have been respect. Wong destroyed 7 of our fighters and escaped into hyperspace. When we analyzed the flight data, our computers said her maneuvers should have killed her from gravitational forces alone. But humans have stronger bones and more efficient circulatory systems than most species. You can survive acceleration that would cause other beings to lose consciousness. Alex sipped his coffee, thinking about all the ways humans might be different from other intelligent species. The worst part about fighting humans in space, Zekathara continued, is that you seem to enjoy it. Our pilots reported that they could hear human laughter on the communication channels during combat. Wong was actually laughing while dodging asteroids and destroying our ships. Humans do sometimes laugh when nervous or excited, Alex said. That is exactly what I mean, Zekathara replied. You find joy in situations that would terrify any rational being. Your entertainment includes activities that simulate mortal danger. You create competitions where participants risk serious injury for no practical purpose. The alien leaned across the table. Dr. Thompson, do you understand what this means? Humans are the only species in the galaxy that evolved from prey animals and became predators. You retained the survival instincts of creatures that were hunted, but you also developed the hunting skills of creatures that kill for food. Alex felt another chill. He had never thought about humans as predators. Most predator species in the galaxy are apex hunters that never experienced being prey. They understand dominance but not desperation. Most prey species understand fear but not aggression. Humans understand both, and that makes you uniquely dangerous. Zekathara's mandibles clicked rapidly. After the asteroid field battle, our military psychologists issued new warnings to all combat units. They said fighting humans was like fighting creatures that had nothing to lose and everything to prove, beings that would rather die fighting than live in defeat. Alex closed his notebook. His hand was cramping again. There's more, isn't there? He asked. Much more, Zekathara said. I haven't told you about human pack hunting behavior yet, or your species' ability to coordinate without direct communication, or the way wounded humans become more dangerous instead of less. The alien's 4 eyes glowed slightly in the harsh lighting. But perhaps we should take a break. I can see that this information is disturbing to you. Alex looked at his reflection in the metal table. He looked tired and worried. No, he said. I need to understand this. The future relationship between our species may depend on it. Zekthara made that rough sound that might have been laughter. Dr. Thompson, after what I tell you next, you will understand why the future relationship between our species is entirely up to humanity. The rest of the galaxy no longer has any choice in the matter. Alex returned to the interrogation room with a fresh cup of coffee and a bottle of water. The break had given him time to think about everything Zekthara had told him. The alien warrior was already seated staring out the window at the stars. "Are you ready to continue?" Alex asked as he sat down. Zekthara turned his 4 eyes toward the human. "What I am about to tell you may be the most important part of our conversation. It explains why your species won a war against impossible odds." Alex activated his recording device and opened his notebook. "Tell me about human pack hunting," he said. "Pack hunting," Zekthara repeated slowly. "Yes, that is exactly what it is. But it took us many battles to understand what we were seeing." The alien's clawed fingers drummed on the table in that same heartbeat rhythm. Kethmori military doctrine is based on clear hierarchy and predetermined strategies. Each soldier knows their exact role and follows orders precisely. This system works well against other organized armies. Alex nodded, waiting for Zekthara to continue. Human military forces appear chaotic by comparison. Your soldiers seem to make independent decisions without direct orders. They break formation, change tactics mid-battle, and take actions that would be considered insubordination in any civilized army. "We call it tactical flexibility," Alex said. "We call it terrifying," Zekthara replied. "Let me tell you about Sergeant Ben Clark and the Battle of Titan's Crown." The alien stood up and began his now familiar pacing. "Clark's squad of 8 soldiers was cut off behind enemy lines when our forces overran their position. Standard military doctrine says they should have attempted to retreat or surrender. Instead, they disappeared into the rocky terrain and began hunting our patrols." Alex looked up from his notes. "Hunting?" "Yes, hunting. Like predators stalking prey. For 2 weeks, our soldiers started disappearing in groups of 3 or 4. We would find their bodies days later, killed with precision and efficiency. Sometimes the humans took weapons and equipment. Sometimes they left messages written in Kethmori blood." Zekthara's scarred face showed old fear. "Our commanders sent larger patrols to find Clark's squad. Squads of 12, then 20, then 50 soldiers. It didn't matter. The humans seemed to know where we would be before we got there. They set traps and ambushes that showed impossible coordination." The alien stopped pacing and looked directly at Alex. "Dr. Thompson, how do human soldiers coordinate without constant radio communication?" Alex thought for a moment. "Training, I suppose. Shared experience. We learn to anticipate what our teammates will do. That is what we thought at first. But we monitored all radio frequencies and detected no transmissions from Clark's squad. They were coordinating through methods we could not understand." Zekthara sat back down. "Later, our xenobiologist explained it to us. Humans evolved as social hunters. Your ancestors hunted in groups for millions of years. You developed nonverbal communication methods that other species never needed." Alex made notes while Zekthara continued. "Humans can coordinate through tiny facial expressions, body language, and even scent markers that most technology cannot detect. You share information without realizing you are doing it. This makes human military units unpredictable and highly adaptable." The alien's mandibles clicked nervously. "Clark's squad was finally cornered in a canyon with no escape route. We sent 200 soldiers to capture or kill them. The humans had no heavy weapons, no armor, and no supplies." "What happened?" Alex asked. "They won," Zekthara said simply. 8 humans with basic rifles defeated 200 fully equipped Kethmori warriors. They used the terrain, improvised weapons, and tactics that seemed impossible. The alien's 4 eyes all focused on Alex at once. But the most disturbing part was that they seemed to enjoy the hunt. Our recordings picked up human laughter during the battle. They were having fun while killing trained soldiers in close combat. Alex felt uncomfortable. He had never thought about human soldiers enjoying battle. "This brings me to urban warfare and the defense of New Geneva," Zekthara continued. "This battle taught us that humans deliberately choose fighting conditions that favor their hunting instincts." The alien walked to the window again. New Geneva was a large civilian city with 2 million human inhabitants. Our invasion force could have bombed it from orbit. But we wanted to capture the manufacturing facilities intact. So we sent ground troops to secure the city. Alex waited for the story to continue. The human defenders had months to prepare. They could have built fortifications outside the city and fought us in open ground where our superior numbers would have been decisive. Instead, they abandoned the outer defenses and retreated into the city itself. Zekthara turned back to face Alex. At first, our commanders thought the humans were making a strategic error. Urban warfare would trap them in a confined space with limited escape routes. But we quickly learned that humans fight differently in urban environments. The alien's scarred hands gestured as he spoke. In open ground, Kethmori forces use coordinated formations and heavy weapons. In a city, we had to move in small groups through narrow streets and buildings. This negated our numerical advantage and forced us to fight on human terms. Alex was taking notes rapidly. Humans know how to use buildings like tools. They would attack from upper floors, retreat through basement tunnels, and appear behind our forces when we thought we had them trapped. They turned every street into a potential ambush site. Zekthara began pacing again, his movements more agitated. But the worst part was their use of civilian knowledge. Human soldiers knew every building, every tunnel, every shortcut in the city. They had help from civilians who provided intelligence and supplies. The entire population was working together like a single hunting pack. Alex looked up from his notes. The civilians helped. Dr. Thompson, this was perhaps the most alien thing we encountered. On most civilized worlds, civilians flee from military conflict. Human civilians stayed and fought alongside their soldiers. Children provided reconnaissance. Elderly humans made improvised weapons. Even injured humans continued to gather intelligence. The aliens' 4 eyes showed something that might have been admiration mixed with fear. The Battle of New Geneva lasted 8 months. We lost 60,000 soldiers taking a city that should have fallen in 2 weeks. The humans made us fight for every building, every street, every room. Zekthara sat down heavily. When our forces finally controlled most of the city, we discovered that the human civilians had been evacuating through underground tunnels for months. The entire battle was a delaying action to save the population. The humans sacrificed their soldiers and their city to protect people who were already safe. Alex stopped writing. They fought a battle they knew they would lose? Yes, and that was when we began to understand the most terrifying thing about your species. Humans don't just fight to win. You fight for principles and ideas that cannot be destroyed by military force. The aliens' mandibles clicked rapidly. Kethmori soldiers fight for territory, resources, or survival. If we lose those things, we surrender and negotiate. But humans fight for concepts like honor, freedom, and justice. How do you defeat an enemy that will die for abstract ideas? Alex set down his pen. His hand was shaking slightly. After New Geneva, our military psychologists identified a new condition among our troops. They called it human dread. Soldiers who had fought humans began showing symptoms of extreme anxiety, paranoia, and sleep disorders. Zekthara's scarred face showed old pain. Our warriors started to believe that humans were everywhere, watching them, hunting them. Many refused to go on patrol in groups smaller than 50. Some requested transfers to non-combat duties rather than face human forces again. The alien stood up and walked back to the window. Dr. Thompson, your species doesn't just win battles. You change the fundamental nature of warfare itself. You make fighting personal, emotional, and psychological in ways that other species cannot match. Alex looked at his notes. Pages and pages of information about human military capabilities he had never considered. Is there more? He asked. Zekthara made that rough sound that might have been laughter. I haven't told you about the final battle yet. The impossible victory that ended the war and made every species in the galaxy fear the name human. The alien's 4 eyes glowed in the harsh lighting. But that story requires me to admit something that still causes me shame. Something that will help you understand why the Kethmori Empire surrendered to a species we could have defeated through sheer numbers alone. Alex activated his recording device again. He had the feeling that the most important part of this conversation was yet to come. Alex Thompson studied Zekthara's scarred face as the alien stared out the window. The conversation had been going on for hours, but neither of them seemed tired. Alex had filled 3 notebooks with information that challenged everything he thought he knew about humanity. You mentioned shame, Alex said quietly. What happened in the final battle? Zekthara's 4 eyes turned toward the human. For the first time since they had begun talking, the alien looked genuinely afraid. The Battle of Kethmora Prime, he said. Our homeworld. The battle that ended the war and made me understand what your species truly is. Alex opened a fresh notebook and activated a new recording device. This felt important. The human fleet was commanded by Jake Martinez, Zekthara began, a young officer who had survived multiple battles against our forces. Intelligence reports said he was tactical, careful, and defensive in his strategies. The aliens' clawed fingers drummed that heartbeat rhythm on the table. Our fleet defending Kethmora Prime consisted of 1,500 warships. The human attack force had only 97 ships. Even our most conservative estimates said they would need at least 500 ships to have any chance of victory. Alex looked up from his notes. Those odds seem impossible. Exactly what our admirals thought. They assumed the humans were either desperate or had some secret weapon we didn't know about. They prepared for a siege that might last months or years. Zekthara stood up and began pacing again. The human fleet approached our homeworld in standard formation. Martinez requested a meeting with our fleet commander to discuss surrender terms. Our admiral agreed, thinking the humans wanted to negotiate their own surrender. The alien's mandibles clicked as he remembered. Instead, Martinez demanded that Kethmori forces surrender immediately and withdraw from all occupied human territories. Our admiral laughed and terminated the communication. The battle began 30 minutes later. Alex wrote quickly, trying to capture every detail. What happened next violated every rule of space warfare, Zekthara said. Instead of engaging our main fleet in formation combat, the human ships scattered in all directions. They ignored our battle line and began attacking targets. Throughout the system, the alien's scarred face showed confusion. Even years after the battle, half the human fleet attacked our supply convoys and manufacturing stations. Another group began destroying communication satellites and sensor arrays. The remaining ships flew directly toward populated areas of our homeworld. Alex frowned. That sounds like suicide. That's what we thought too. Our fleet pursued the scattered human ships, expecting to destroy them quickly. But the humans weren't trying to fight ship-to-ship battles. They were creating chaos. Zekthara sat down and leaned across the table. Dr. Thompson, humans understand psychological warfare in ways that other species do not. While our ships were chasing individual human vessels, Admiral Kate Morrison began broadcasting messages to our entire fleet. What kind of messages? Alex asked. Recordings of previous human victories. Audio from the battles I have described to you. Testimonials from captured Kethmori, soldiers describing their encounters with human forces. The alien's four eyes all focused on Alex. She broadcast the screams of our warriors dying at Kepler 442b, the panic reports from Proxima Station, the final transmissions from our troops in New Geneva. She wanted our soldiers to hear exactly what had happened to their comrades. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. The psychological effect was immediate and devastating. Our crews had heard rumors about human combat effectiveness, but these recordings made it real. Many of our ships requested permission to withdraw from combat. Zekthara's scarred hands shook slightly as he continued. But Morrison wasn't finished. She began transmitting detailed information about Kethmori military families, the names and locations of our soldiers' mates and offspring. She told us that human forces had already identified our home colonies and were prepared to hunt down every Kethmori in the galaxy. Alex stopped writing. That's psychological terrorism, Zekthara finished. Yes, it was. But it was also military genius. Morrison made 1,500 ship crews believe that continuing the war would result in the extinction of our entire species. The alien stood up and walked to the window again. While Morrison was destroying our morale, Martinez was implementing the most insane military strategy in galactic history. Instead of trying to defeat our fleet, he began accelerating his ships directly toward Kethmora Prime's surface. Alex looked up in surprise. A kamikaze attack? That's what we thought. Our planetary defense systems prepared to shoot down 97 human ships attempting suicide runs. But Martinez had calculated something we hadn't considered. Zekthara's reflection in the window looked ghostly. Human ships are built differently than ours. Your vessels have stronger hulls and more efficient engines because they're designed to operate in the dangerous space around Earth. Martinez realized that his ships could survive atmospheric entry if they approached at the correct angle. The alien turned back to face Alex. 23. Human ships successfully reached our planet's surface. They landed in our major cities and began deploying ground troops. But these weren't invasion forces, they were demonstration units. Alex frowned. Demonstration of what? Of human capability. Each landing party consisted of only 12 soldiers. just like at Kepler 442b. They weren't trying to conquer our cities. They were proving that humans could put troops anywhere they wanted. Anytime they wanted. Zekthara's mandibles clicked rapidly. Within 6 hours, human soldiers had captured or destroyed strategic targets in 12 different cities on our homeworld. They took control of communication centers, power plants, and government buildings, not to hold them, but to show that they could. The alien sat down heavily. That was when I understood what Martinez had really done. He hadn't come to fight a space battle. He had come to demonstrate that the Kethmori Empire could not protect its own homeworld from a numerically inferior human force. Alex was writing as fast as he could. The final phase of Martinez's strategy was the most terrifying. The human ships that had avoided, our fleet began transmitting exact coordinates of every major population center on Kethmora Prime. They told us they could destroy our cities from orbit anytime they chose. Thara's 4 eyes showed old terror, but they didn't destroy anything. Instead, they waited. Martinez gave our government exactly 1 hour to decide. Surrender completely, or watch human forces demonstrate their ability to eliminate our civilization. Alex looked up from his notes. And your government surrendered? In 47 minutes, Zekthara said quietly. 47 minutes to end a war that had lasted 3 years. The alien's scarred face showed something that might have been respect. Martinez had achieved total victory with minimal casualties on both sides. He proved that humans could defeat any enemy without destroying them. This was perhaps the most terrifying demonstration of all. Alex set down his pen and rubbed his cramped hand. Most species fight until one side is completely destroyed or incapable of resistance. Humans fight until the enemy understands that resistance is pointless. You don't just win wars, you convince your enemies that they never had a chance to begin with. Zekthara stood up and walked to the center of the room. Dr. Thompson, the Battle of Kethmora Prime taught the galaxy something new about your species. Humans are not just superior warriors. You are superior strategists who understand the psychology of warfare better than any other known intelligence. The alien's 4 eyes all focused on Alex. But there is something else, something that I realized during that final battle, something that made me request this interview with your government. Alex activated a fresh recording device. What did you realize? Zekthara's mandibles clicked once, slowly. I realized that humans had been holding back. Throughout the entire war, your species had been using only a fraction of your actual capabilities. You weren't fighting to destroy us, you were fighting to teach us our place in a galaxy where humans exist. The alien's scarred face showed something that might have been gratitude mixed with fear. Martinez could have destroyed our homeworld and killed billions of Kethmori. Instead, he chose to prove that he could destroy us, then chose not to. That decision was more terrifying than any weapon. Alex felt another chill. He was beginning to understand why this conversation was so important. There's something else, isn't there? He asked. Zekthara made that rough sound that might have been laughter. Dr. Thompson, I haven't told you the most important thing yet. I haven't explained why I requested this meeting, or why the information I'm giving you may determine the future of galactic civilization. The alien's 4 eyes glowed in the harsh lighting. What I tell you next will help you understand humanity's position in the galaxy now, and it will explain why other species are already planning to ensure that humans never get the chance to demonstrate their capabilities again. Alex Thompson looked at the stack of notebooks on the table. Hours of conversation had filled hundreds of pages with information that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the galaxy. Zekthara sat quietly, his 4 eyes watching the human process everything he had learned. You said other species are making plans, Alex said finally. What kind of plans? Zekthara's mandibles clicked once, a sound that Alex had learned meant the alien was choosing his words carefully. Dr. Thompson, what I am about to tell you is the reason for this entire conversation. It is why I requested to speak with human authorities before returning to Kethmori space. The alien stood up and walked to the window one final time. The war between humans and the Kethmori Empire was observed by every major civilization in the galaxy. They watched a numerically superior force lose to creatures they had never heard of before. Species that had dominated galactic politics for thousands of years suddenly realized they were not the apex predators they thought they were. Alex opened his final notebook and prepared to write. 3 months ago, Representatives from 47 different species held a secret meeting on the neutral world of Vega Station. The topic of discussion was what they called the human problem. Zekthara's scarred face reflected in the window as he spoke. These species included the Altarian Collective, the Centauri Federation, the Rigel Hegemony, and dozens of smaller civilizations. Combined, they control most of the galaxy's resources and manufacturing capacity. Alex felt his stomach tighten. What did they decide? They decided that humanity represents an existential threat to galactic civilization. Not because humans are evil or aggressive, but because humans are too effective at warfare. They believe your species will eventually dominate or destroy every other intelligent life form in the galaxy. The alien turned back to face Alex. Dr. Thompson, these civilizations have reached a conclusion that terrifies me. They believe the only way to prevent human dominance is to eliminate humanity before your species spreads beyond your current territory. Alex stopped writing. The pen fell from his hand. They're planning to attack Earth? Not yet, Zekthara said. But they are building the largest military alliance in galactic history. 47 species contributing ships, weapons, and soldiers to a combined fleet that will outnumber human forces by more than 1,000 to 1. The alien sat down across from Alex. They call it the Galactic Defense Initiative. The stated purpose is to contain human expansion and prevent another war like the one between humans and Keth Mori. But the real purpose is to destroy your species before you become unstoppable. Alex picked up his pen with shaking hands. How long before this alliance is ready to attack? 2 years, perhaps 3, Zekthara replied. They are building new weapons specifically designed to counter human tactics. Ships that can operate without crew to prevent psychological warfare. Automated systems that cannot be influenced by human unpredictability. The alien's 4 eyes all focused on Alex. But there is something else. Something that makes this situation even more dangerous. The Alliance leaders have studied human history and learned about your species' response to existential threats. Alex waited for Zekthara to continue. They know that humans become more dangerous when cornered. They have seen how your ancestors responded to ice ages, asteroid impacts, and other extinction events. So they are not planning to give humanity any warning or chance to prepare. The alien's mandibles clicked nervously. The attack will come without declaration of war or negotiation. 47 species will strike simultaneously at every human colony, space station, and ship. They intend to destroy your entire civilization in a single coordinated assault. Alex felt sick. Why are you telling me this? Zekthara was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Alex had heard before. Because I have fought humans in battle. I have seen what your species is capable of when you believe you are fighting for survival. If this alliance attacks humanity, they will not achieve quick victory. They will create the most destructive war in galactic history. The alien's scarred hands folded on the table. But there is another reason. The Keth Mori Empire was given a choice by the Alliance. Join them in destroying humanity or be classified as collaborators and face the same fate. Alex looked up sharply. What did your government decide? Officially, the Keth Mori Empire voted to join the Galactic Defense Initiative. We will contribute ships and soldiers to the attack on human space. Zekthara's 4 eyes showed something that might have been shame. Unofficially, many of us remember that humans could have destroyed our homeworld but chose not to. We remember that Jake Martinez and Kate Morrison showed mercy when they could have shown destruction. The alien leaned forward. Dr. Thompson, there are Keth Mori who believe we owe humanity a debt. We think that warning your species about this alliance is the only way to repay that debt. Alex was writing frantically now. What else can you tell me about their plans? The attack will begin with simultaneous strikes on Earth, Mars, and the major human colonies. They plan to destroy your industrial capacity first, then hunt down any surviving human ships. The goal is complete extermination within 6 months. Zekthara's mandibles clicked rapidly, but they are making the same mistake we made. They think they understand humans based on your previous military actions. They believe they can predict how your species will respond to this threat. Alex looked up from his notes. Can they? Dr. Thompson, in every battle I have described to you, humans were fighting under rules and limitations. You were trying to minimize casualties, protect civilians, and achieve political objectives. You were fighting civilized wars against civilized enemies. The alien's scarred face showed something that might have been fear. But this alliance is planning genocide. They want to eliminate every human in the galaxy. And I do not think they understand what humans become when fighting for the survival of their own species. Alex set down his pen. His hand was cramping and his mind was racing. What do you think will happen? Zekthara stood up and walked to the center of the room. I think the Alliance will discover that they have seen only a small fraction of human military capability. I think they will learn that civilized humans and desperate humans are completely different creatures. The aliens' four eyes all focused on, Alex, your species evolved on a death world that tried to kill you for millions of years. You survived ice ages, volcanic winters, asteroid impacts, and predators that modern galactic civilization cannot imagine. What do you think humans will become when fighting for the survival of your entire species? Alex felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature in the room. There is something else, Zekthara said quietly. Something I learned from studying human history. Your species has a concept that does not exist in any other known language. What concept? Alex asked. Total war, Zekthara said. The idea that in some conflicts there are no rules, no limitations, and no mercy. The idea that survival justifies any action, any weapon, any strategy. The alien's mandibles clicked once. Most galactic species fight to achieve objectives. Humans fight to eliminate threats. When your species believes that extinction is the alternative, you stop being civilized warriors and become something else entirely. Alex looked at his notebooks full of information about human military capabilities. Then he thought about what humans might become if fighting for the survival of their species. Dr. Thompson, Zekthara said, I have told you about this alliance because I hope humanity can find a way to prevent this war. But if prevention fails, I want you to understand something important. The alien walked back to the window and looked out at the stars. The 47 species planning to attack humanity control most of the galaxy. They have superior numbers, superior technology, and superior resources. By any rational analysis, they should achieve easy victory. Zekthara turned back to face Alex. But I have fought humans in battle. I have seen what your species does to enemies who threaten your survival, and I believe that if this alliance attacks humanity, they will discover that they have made the last mistake any of them will ever make. Alex closed his final notebook. The conversation was over, but the implications were just beginning. What happens now? He asked. Now you take this information to your government, Zekthara said. You tell them that humanity has approximately 2 years to prepare for the largest military assault in galactic history. And you tell them that the rest of the galaxy is about to learn what humans become when there are no rules left to follow. The alien's scarred face showed something that might have been sadness. Dr. Thompson, I have given you the tools to save both our species. Use them wisely, because if this war begins, I do not think the galaxy will ever be the same again. Alex gathered his notebooks and recording devices. As he reached the door, he turned back to look at Zekthara one final time. Thank you, he said. The alien's 4 eyes glowed in the harsh lighting. Do not thank me yet, Dr. Thompson. Thank me if you find a way to prevent this war, because if you fail, I may have just helped humanity prepare for the total destruction of galactic civilization. Alex left the room knowing that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer a young species finding its place among the stars. They were